This one mosquito found its way into a room full of people, but it only wants you. Your ankles are covered in welts, there is a massive lump behind your ear, and it is constantly making that agonizing, high-pitched sound right next to your head. Meanwhile, the person sitting directly next to you walks out without a single bite, as if the mosquito never even knew they existed. People will try to comfort you by saying your blood is sweeter, or they'll tell you that you're just unlucky. But that is completely untrue. You didn't get unlucky. You got hunted. The mosquito that found you was female. Males never bite anyone. They drink flower nectar, mind their own business for about a week, and quietly die. But a female needs protein and iron to build a batch of eggs, and the richest supply of both is sealed inside a warm-blooded animal. She wasn't even hungry when she landed on you. She was gathering construction materials. Most mosquitoes aren't actually that interested in humans. They take blood from whatever is warm and nearby. Birds, frogs, cattle, whatever crosses their path. But the one that found you is different. Thousands of years ago, this particular species split in two. One half stayed in the forest, biting wild animals, and that version still lives in Kenya today. The other half moved in with humans and completely rebuilt its nose around us. It sharpened one smell detector in particular, finely tuned to a chemical that humans give off far more than any other animal. So she wasn't just looking for generic blood, she was actively looking for a human being. Which leaves her with two distinct jobs: finding a human being in the dark, and then deciding which specific human being to feast on. Nearly everything you've ever heard about how mosquitoes hunt only explains how she finds a person. None of it explains why she chose you. The hunt starts about 30 feet away. At that distance, she has no idea you exist as a visual shape. What reaches her first is carbon dioxide. The air leaving your lungs carries roughly 100 times more carbon dioxide than the air around you, and it doesn't dissolve politely into the room. It drifts off you in a ragged, invisible plume, and she catches the edge of it. That first hit doesn't tell her exactly where you are. It tells her that a meal exists somewhere in the vicinity, and it instantly switches her hunting system on. She turns into the air current carrying it, weaving back and forth across the plume, casting sideways every time she loses the track. The first thing that gives you away is the one biological action you can never stop doing: breathing. Then she closes in. For decades, scientists thought the thermal part of the hunt was simple. Warm skin creates a rising plume of warm air, and the mosquito just follows that warmth to its source. But in August 2024, a research team at UC Santa Barbara showed that it is far stranger than that. They heated a surface to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly skin temperature, and completely blocked the warm air currents from reaching the mosquitoes. The only thing left crossing the gap was pure thermal infrared radiation. The result? Host-seeking behavior doubled. She can pick up your body's infrared glow from about 2.5 feet away. At arm's length, she isn't really looking at you anymore. She is feeling the thermal shape of your body. All of that found a human being. It did not find you specifically, because it found everyone else in that room at the exact same moment. Everyone was breathing out the same gas and radiating the same body heat. Up to this point, she should have been perfectly happy biting any one of you, but she wasn't, so the actual choosing happens somewhere else. Run a finger down your forehead at the end of a long day. That faint, oily film is sebum, the oil your skin produces to waterproof itself. And it is the entire reason you got picked, and everyone else walked away clean. In 2022, Leslie Voschel's laboratory at Rockefeller University had 64 volunteers wear nylon stockings on their forearms for 6 hours straight. They cut up the stockings and pitted them against each other in a tournament-style competition, with mosquitoes voting by flying toward their preference. The spread was ridiculous. The champion, known in the scientific paper only as Subject 33, pulled about 100 times more mosquitoes than the weakest competitor. That isn't a slight edge. That is a 100-to-1 advantage. They kept testing him for years, and the rankings barely moved. Subject 33 was always the one they wanted. What separated the top candidates from the bottom was what that sebum was loaded with: carboxylic acids, which are the sharp, sour chemical compounds behind the smell of sweat and unwashed gym socks. Everyone produces them, but the people who get swarmed simply produce far more. And here is the kicker: you don't make that smell on your own. Your skin carries roughly 1 trillion bacteria that feed on your oily sebum, breaking it down into small, airborne compounds that drift off your skin. What a mosquito smells across a dark room isn't you. It's the exhaust fumes of the bacterial colony farming your skin. We actually discovered how powerful this bacterial exhaust was in a completely undignified way. In the 1990s, a Dutch entomologist named Bart Knowles noticed that malaria mosquitoes were consistently landing on his bare feet and almost nowhere else. He tested the mosquitoes against Limburger cheese, and they swarmed toward it just as eagerly as they did toward a human foot. It turns out Limburger cheese is ripened using a close bacterial cousin of the species living between your toes, and both bacteria chew through fats to produce the exact same carboxylic acids. The mosquitoes weren't confused. Their target was never a human being. It was a smell created by bacteria, and human feet and German cheese happen to emit the same chemical signal. So the bacterial balance on your skin is everything. A 2011 study at Wageningen University found that people who get swarmed carry more total skin bacteria, but fewer different kinds of species. The people mosquitoes ignored had a much broader bacterial mix, which likely included species whose byproducts act as a natural camouflage. Can you wash this off? No. Scrubbing with soap changes nothing because the bacterial population grows back within hours in the exact same proportions. You didn't choose the genes underneath it either. A 2015 study on twins at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine showed that identical twins, who share 100% of their genes, were rated equally attractive by mosquitoes. Non-identical twins, who only share 50% of their genes, had a clear favorite. Your appeal to mosquitoes is almost entirely inherited, handed down just like your height. Is there any single lever you can pull tonight to change your odds? Just one, and it's a small one. In 2010, researchers in Burkina Faso had 43 men drink either a quart of local beer or a quart of pure water. The water changed nothing, but the beer drinkers became measurably more appealing to malaria mosquitoes within just 15 minutes. So the lever only turns one way. Drinking a beer makes you a significantly better target. Skipping it simply leaves you as vulnerable as you already were. Now, scientists naturally asked, if we know the precise chemical signal mosquitoes use, can we just turn off their receivers? The same Rockefeller laboratory tried to genetically engineer mosquitoes with their carbon dioxide receptors deleted, essentially removing the ignition switch the entire hunt runs on. When released into an enclosure with human beings, the mutated mosquitoes were barely slowed down. They simply switched over to secondary odor receptors. So the scientists deleted entire families of odor-detecting genes. The mosquitoes still found the humans. Mosquito smell-detecting nerve cells carry multiple receptors operating side by side. There is no single wire to cut. Take away one sensory route, and the others quietly pick up the slack. Since we cannot hide humans, researchers are now flipping the problem upside down, using that cheesy bacterial odor to build traps that outcompete sleeping humans in high-risk zones. And there is a desperate reason why anyone spends a full scientific career studying this tiny insect. In 2024 alone, there were an estimated 282 million cases of malaria, resulting in roughly 610,000 deaths. That is the mathematical equivalent of a fully loaded jumbo jet falling out of the sky every 6 hours all year long. And in Africa, nearly 3/4 of those who die are children under 5 years old. Snakes kill around 100,000 people a year. Every large predator you could name added together doesn't even come close. The mosquito isn't doing the killing directly. She is just the delivery system for a parasite in her saliva. But she is lethal because she is impossibly good at finding your address. The deadliest animal on planet Earth weighs as much as a few grains of sand and dies if you clap your hands. But if your skin chemistry happens to be what she is built to hunt, you aren't crazy, and your blood isn't sweet. You are simply easier to find than the person standing next to you. Now, I want to hear from you down in the comments. Are you the designated mosquito magnet in your friend group who gets eaten alive, or do mosquitoes completely ignore you? Share your worst mosquito story down below. If this animated deep dive helped you understand the evolutionary biology on your own skin, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more science explainers. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.